Yeah, I get it. I sort of felt the same. But then last night, a collaborator and I actually used the synth-based session players for a couple songs. And honestly, it's more interesting than I expected. The song on screen is called What's Sleep, which is part of an upcoming album that I co-wrote and co-produced with a friend of mine. And what I want to play for you specifically is the bass line of the song, which is called Heavy Kick in this case, because I'm using an instance of drum synth to supply the bass sound. I'll play for you the first couple seconds of just the bass by itself. Right, it has that punch of a kick drum, but there's also this pitch or tone that gives that sensation of a bass instrument. And if we hear it now with the rest of the instrumentation, right, it covers that low end for the arrangement. Now, this song originally started as just a loop. It was just drums, bass, and keys. I showed it to my collaborator and we decided, you know what, we want to take this loop and turn it into a song. So I just copied and pasted that 8-bar loop for 3.5 minutes. And then we started to record vocals and play with the arrangement. And there's been a lot of evolution to this song. But looking at the bass, you can visually see that it's just the same bass part again and again, save for maybe 1 or 2 regions midway through the song. But I feel like it could be better. I feel like it could be more imaginative than what it is. The problem is we've heard this song 1,000 times at least. So I'm tapped out creatively. I have no idea what else this bass could be. This is where I think the session players could be a huge help. First things first, before I load any of the session players, I have to add chords to the chord track so that they know which chords and notes to play when. In this case, I want to choose a melodic or pitched instrument that I think will be the most dependable for chord information. I think the keys down here could be the ticket. So if I solo this parallel earth piano, now of course you can see I've already analyzed this region for chords, but if I hadn't, I could just click, hold, and drag the region right into the chord track in the global tracks. And now Logic Pro has analyzed this region for any sort of chord information that it could identify. Chord ID isn't perfect. This piano part is melodic, not chordal. Some of the chords I don't think are exactly right, but it got me in the right scale, which is all the session players need. But then from bar 13 on, the chords are a little different, but I'm really certain that the chords really don't change. It really should be the same 4 chords for both halves of the region. So I'm just going to click, hold, and drag on the right boundary of this chord group to trim it down to just these 4 chords. And now I'm going to also hold Command and press R to repeat this chord group. Now I have to be careful. I had the chord group and the region selected at the same time. So I'll undo and make sure to deselect the piano region. And now I'll just hold Command and press R and then just populate the chord group to the end of the song. Now I can load my session player. And I'm going to choose under bass player, under the synth category, the 808 bass. All right, cool. So Logic Pro has loaded a session player region for the chorus section. Now, because I had the cycle range enabled, Logic Pro provided me with just one session player region. But if I turned off the cycle range because I have arrangement markers for each section of my song, if I load up the session player, Logic Pro will give me a session player region for each and every section that's noted, and we'll just stay focused on the chorus. Now, I have no idea what Logic Pro is actually served up in terms of performance. So we're going to take a listen to the Chrome bass alongside all the other instruments, and then I'll solo it. And soloed. Okay, first thought, I really like the Chrome 808 bass patch. This Alchemy patch, I think it sounds awesome. But the other thought I have is this performance is way too busy for what I want from my song. This has been my criticism of the session players from the very beginning, is that they're an overplaying bunch. They like to play fills and slides and all this extra stuff that, in my opinion, it's just not needed. It's like being in a band with a drummer that needs to play fills constantly, or a guitarist that needs a solo over every part. It's like, dude, we're playing a song. This is not your American Idol tryout. Can we just stay in our lanes? I don't know. Maybe they're programmed this way to create creative serendipity because there are things I like about it. It's just too much. So I'll try to tame the performance using the session player editor. My first stop always is the complexity slider. The higher the slider is, the more complex the performance. And as you drag it down, the performance gets less busy. I'm also going to turn down the fill amount because usually, in my opinion, session players like to play too many fills. Okay, between adjusting these two sliders, let's hear what we have. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm also going to adjust the note range to make sure that this bassist doesn't go too high up the scale. In this case, the bassist is going to stay within the range of C2 to E3. I kind of like that, actually. I also am wondering, what if I play with the pattern here and tell the synth bass player to base its pattern on another track, like the drums, or even the original bass? Let's hear it with the drums. I'll play it for you in solo so you can hear what's going on. I don't know. I don't think it's as cool as what I had before. I think that's pretty cool. So between these couple controls, complexity, fill, and also adjusting the note range, I feel like there could be something here. Maybe you also are noticing that the bass player is playing with the pitch of notes. You can see by these lines right up here that certain notes are getting pitched up or down. And I can play with these pitch wheel modifications by playing with the slides amount. At this point, I could play with these controls for, the next hour, but I think I've achieved probably the best I'm going to get out of the synth bassist. Anytime I work with the session players, I always find that at some point, I'm going to choose to convert my session player region to a MIDI region. By converting the session player region to MIDI, you can get in there and fine-tune the results of the session player performance to get closer to what you had in mind. So I'm going to take a listen to maybe the first couple bars and just make adjustments as I feel it necessary. So I'm not entirely sure I need that second note there. So right here, you can hear a pitch shift on this note. If we show automation, I'm just pressing A. And if we go down to channel 2 pitch bend, though I like the pitch shifting, it feels like the session player is like tipping its hand a little too early on these cool moments. So I'm just going to select that automation and delete. And let's hear that. So I think there could be a note here. I'm not entirely convinced I need this higher note up here. And I feel like this fill would be really cool dropping down through a couple notes. So I'm going to click, hold, and drag it up. And hopefully I'm staying within G natural minor here. All right, cool. And then I'm going to take this second note and maybe drop it. Is that in the scale? And maybe that. So let's hear that. And I really want to roll through the notes. I think that'd be super cool. Maybe bringing this note closer here. I like that. I think that's pretty cool. So now hearing the bass by itself with these changes, This I find a little more tasteful than what the session player was originally offering to me. I mean, without session player, I wouldn't have come up with any of this pattern, right? Because you can look, there's the original bass part. It was just 3 notes. Here, the session player opened up my thoughts to other notes that could be played, little fills that I never would have came up with otherwise. What I find with session players is that it's not just hit generate and you're done. Instead, the session players require guidance and taste from you. So are session players replacing musicians? I don't think so. Are session players perfect out of the gate? Not in my experience. But are session players useful as idea generators for people who know what they're trying to achieve? Actually, yeah. I mean, you can guide them with your performances. You get to tell them what to play and when, and you get to apply your taste. If you approach the session players in this way, they're a tool like any other tool. They can produce new ideas that you wouldn't have come up with, like that pitch wheel idea I never would have came up with on my own. And sometimes they don't work for a song. That's okay. Session players are not magic, but they can be helpful.